Good evening and a warm welcome to the Smuggo show. Jonathan Brooks is not with me tonight, so just me and hosting it. But I've got two great guests with me tonight, and we'll have a third a little bit later on. So first and foremost, going to go over to Ryan. Good evening, Ryan. How are you?
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to the full focus of Wednesday, really.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
It is. That's all on my mind at the moment, mate. Is what Wednesday. It's been since 10 o'clock. Tuesday.
Yep.
But yeah, we're going to talk a lot about the game on Wednesday, and we're going to talk a lot about Real Madrid's antics as well at the moment, in terms of like everything they're trying and doing to get their team motivated for this game.
Yeah. No.
And good evening to George. How you
Hello,
doing,
Liam. Hello, Ryan. How you guys doing? You all right?
All good.
Good. I'm looking forward to Wednesday night myself. It's just like it's been constantly on my mind, just getting through to the semi-final. I mean, we give ourselves a massive advantage with that massive home win, but we can't afford to be complacent, But I'm feeling confident, and just looking forward to seeing the game.
Yeah, it's definitely one to look forward to, isn't it? Like, in some ways, this will kind of test our kind of mental strength and character in terms of going to the Bernabeu, like with everything we're kind of facing in terms of what they're doing at the moment to try and build this game up now to try and get them to swing it back round. I think it's a big night for us, but I think it's one of them nights when it would be good to see the team go through it and come out the other side.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the main thing. Just get to the semi-final, because I feel we could do something special this year, and I think if we get through to that semi-final, I think who knows.
Yeah, right. What we can do first is say a big hello to everyone, obviously in the chat. Feel free to put any comments in. Any questions you want to ask Ryan or George or myself, we'll be more than happy to kind of answer them. But good evening to Catherine. Good to see you in again. And good evening to Geeks of Muckleby. Good to see you in as well. So obviously Saturday, we had a 5:30 kickoff at the Emirates. Arsenal versus Brentford. We kind of knew and we kind of discussed it in the previous show in terms of obviously we needed to win the game still to try and keep the pressure on Liverpool, but at the same time, with obviously what happened in Real Madrid, we knew we were going to have to rotate the squad, try and keep players fresh for obviously Wednesday. And just obviously rely on some of our squad players, and that's pretty much what Mikel Arteta did, didn't he, Ryan? In-come Tierney, in-come kind of Zinchenko. Obviously, Saliba and Kivior played at centre back again. Right back, Partey went to right back, which did kind of surprise me because I thought that potentially we might rest him on Saturday, but we decided to play him and actually had a good impact and scored a goal. And then obviously midfield, Zinchenko went back in, as I said. Declan Rice was in the squad again. Jorginho come in, and then up front, we played obviously the players that we thought we would expect to play in one area, and Trossard and Martinelli. So obviously, it wasn't a bad team, was it, that we put out? But I think with this second leg, I just felt this game was going to be a bit of a lull game. I felt that this game could easily end up in a draw. I think I did predict that. I thought we might nick it 2-1. But we just, I don't know. I just didn't feel like we created much in terms of really big chances. Probably the biggest chance that we had was Saka after they equalised. So, yeah, it was a bit disappointing, to be honest, being 1-0 up and not winning that game.
Yeah, it was, especially. I'm going to do what I did the live stream watching on the channel that Gary's with me. Because again, with our changes, I was sort of disappointed with Brentford, really, because barring the goal, they didn't really threaten much, did they? Let's be honest, they didn't create nothing, didn't put anything on us. It's like they came and did what they'd normally do with full strength, basically. From that point of view, I'm relieved from an Arsenal point of view, but it's just from the result point of view, I'm disappointed because obviously, we dropped the point side because of switching off for 5 minutes. But going into it, you see the lineup, you think you take the draw, and the title's done. It's been done for weeks and months on end, whatever. It was just full focus, and as what the team suggested, full focus. My main disappointment was Ben White having another knock again. I said this on Saturday during the stream. Like, I'm a bit concerned now. He's been out most of the season because of the surgery. He's only just come back into the actual match day squads. And out of, was it possible 3 or 4? He's only appeared in one match day squad. Out of 3, sorry, he's appeared in 1. That was against Madrid on the bench. But either side of that, he's felt knocks or took knocks in training and precautions and all that. And I'm like, what has he been rushed back into the match day squad in the first place? What the issue is there, I have to say I am concerned. But on another day, we'd play Timber. But because even though we're 3-0 up, we have to rotate. I mean, obviously, Pat would be in midfield and all that. But overall, the main reason we didn't really create nothing was because we didn't have any creativity in our midfield. With all due respect, Jorginho, you get what you get from him. Zinchenko never. He doesn't really, apart from on the weekend, didn't really play midfield for Arsenal, apart from when he inverts. Again, no creativity there. And you're basically asking Declan to do something he doesn't, with all due respect, doesn't do in terms of what you want the other guy to do.
Yeah.
So you're basically asking the front three to do all the creating, basically, of their own backs. But either way, we still look good. Of all that, all my complaining about, but we still look good. I actually thought we were, with all that, it's still the superior team. We were in the face of Brentford. We created more. Unlucky a few times. 10 years unlucky. He was a few seconds ahead of himself. He could have got his final goal at Arsenal, but looks got his moment for the fans. We know he's going back to Scotland.
Yeah.
But look, we said this backstage when we're going live. If we were still in a tight race, we'd be kicking off now. Notice that we're not. We're sort of like we are more focused on midweek now at the moment. We want to discuss that now. We accepted our fate with the league weeks ago, and because of the situation we find ourselves in this quarter final, our attention is fully there from all aspects, and it shows. It is what it is. I didn't say this the other night, and I sort of obviously we didn't watch the game on Saturday. I'm disappointed with the Arsenal fans from on Tuesday. Sorry, the ones that left with 10 minutes to go. The ones that it's the biggest game in our era, biggest game in the Emirates era. Like 2 minutes to go, and I'm seeing droves of Arsenal fans walk out with 3-0 up against the defending champions, and against Brentford, there's more fans at the end. I don't make it make sense.
I think the issue is though, like the only thing I'd say in defence of that, I totally don't get it when it's a weekend game whatsoever. But if you're going back to like southwest area and all that, these train services are awful. Like literally, I remember when I had to leave the Porto game at full time because my last train was something like 11 or something like that, and there was no way that I could stay to watch that set extra time. Could no way watch it. I had to leave, and I ended up having to watch the penalties in Paddington, and that was because obviously I had a meeting, so I had to get up there for the next morning. So I think the problem is these train services in selected areas where there is no train services after 11:30. That's probably one of the things that I can think of. Like, don't get me wrong, there are fans that do it on a normal weekend day. And like when you've got a 12:30 kickoff, I just don't understand it. Like when fans seem to be knocking out the door after 80 minutes, you think, like, you see it as well in games where it's really tight, and you're just like, part of the most exciting part of the game could be the end of the game. Do you know what I mean? That's where you get your big moments, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we saw it a couple of years ago against Bournemouth. Literally lost kick of the game.
Yeah, and people were out the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is like. Don't get me wrong; it is quite disappointing. But I do think there's other factors, and I think because our fan base comes far and wide, for all over the country, even like places like Ireland, Wales, Scotland, I think train service are a big detriment to us.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that one. And I was going to raise that point as well. It's, the train services are not great, are they?
No, but that's the problem as well. And I think a lot of people don't want to risk having to sometimes even go to their last train at night, because if that train don't run for any reason, then you're screwed as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So it's a tricky situation, and especially 8 o'clock kickoffs. Like, what time is it? Probably about 10 o'clock before the game finishes. By the time you get out of that stadium, get round Arsenal corner, just to try and get into the Arsenal tube station, you're probably looking, mate, 10:15.
I mean, I had a thing the other night on Tuesday night when I came home from the game. I parked the car at Hayes because it was on my way home where I live, and I couldn't get the train back to Hayes. I had to go to Orpington and then get an Uber to Hayes to go and pick the car up.
Yeah, nightmare, really, isn't it?
It can be sometimes, But what a game it was to be at. I'm glad I was there.
Yeah,
you lucky bastards.
I'll let you go, Ryan.
No, because I'm a disabled member basically, but I do the ballot stuff, don't I?
Oh,
what luck at this whole ballot. Yeah, don't get started on the ballots, but yeah, it is what it is. I've got the program coming anyway. I've ordered the program.
That's good.
No, but another thing I will say is about, especially the late kick or the evening kickoffs, like 8 o'clock kickoffs and all, be Champions League or league games. Holloway Road being closed to an hour and a half after the game for full-time whistle goes doesn't help things either. No,
it doesn't. It doesn't, because that's probably why everyone's going over to Arsenal. It's so tricky getting around there, isn't it? And then you're sitting in queues to get into the station. But obviously, due to kind of how small Holloway Road is, obviously, I guess it's a risk, isn't it? So. And that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Like, if we there's looks at around us increasing the stadium capacity over the next few years, and there's been talk about 80,000. You sit there and you think another 20,000 hitting into Islington, Finsbury Park, Holloway Road, Arsenal. It's a lot of people. That's a lot of additional people.
I think as a collective, they're going to have to put money into communities, and in terms of like Holloway Road and all that, get it refurbed at the same time, maybe.
Yeah.
To deal with the demand of what 80,000 people will bring.
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally agree. I think there has to be work done around them factors as well, to try and support that. Anyway, back into obviously the game. We're just going to go over to you, George, with the Brentford game. Obviously, as what Ryan said, Tierney had the goal disallowed. Obviously, a little bit unfortunate. It was offside. What was your thoughts on the Norgard tackle? Because I was at the game, and obviously, it looked like they'd gone in late at the time, but it was because it was so far over into that kind of that side of it weren't very clear. Obviously, there's a lot of people that kind of discuss it. More people on the fence. It should have been a red card.
Well, I did watch it on Match of the Day actually, because I was out with the missus doing some shopping, and it looked like a dangerous tackle to me. I think he was lucky to get away with that. Going in with both legs, it was reckless and dangerous. I'm surprised it wasn't a red, to be honest.
Are we too technically engrossed now with VAR? Yeah, right. Because the referees give the decision. I don't get their excuse. I don't get their excuse personally that because he's given a yellow and he's made a decision. They're not going to change it, but we've seen an upteenth number of challenges that have been booked, and I'll go back to I remember Eddie Nketiah. Do you remember? When he was it Blackburn, someone like that? I can't remember. It was someone.
Leicester City.
Leicester City. That's it. That was a yellow card, wasn't it? And that got moved. That got to a red VAR. So. This terminology, what they're saying is in terms of the referees make the decisions, and sometimes they won't overturn it; they'll go with the referees' decisions. Is there any point in having this VAR facility to kind of look at these challenges? Because for me, because he's gone in from behind and where he's gone, I think it's a red card. I think I think it's definitely a red card because the way he's gone in, and he's gone in from behind, and he knows he can't go in from behind, and he's gone basically studs in, isn't he? Why are we not getting this right? Why is this continuing to happen in the time and time again? We look at the Everton Liverpool game the other week. He should have the Everton centre back Savioski should have been sent off as well, and wasn't sent off. I don't know. I want to get it from your view because obviously me and Ryan were ranting about it all day long.
There's no consistency with it really, and it just seems like you know, it seems a lot of things seem to go unnoticed, or when things, or sometimes they come in too harshly with certain things, you know, like soft pens and stuff like that. And sometimes I think the offside rule that they come up with is ridiculous, like with VAR in particular, like, you know, like a slight fraction of your knee could be offside, you know, it's offside. So it's just kind of, it's just a bit of a spoiler to the game, really, in some ways. A lot of stoppages, you know. So, you know, you start cheering for a goal being at the game, and you know, you're like sitting there wondering, oh, have we even scored? You know, so I mean, sometimes, because the thing is, all the managers voted for it, didn't they? I mean, even our Wenger was kind of involved in you know, coming about with VAR, and they all wanted it, but it's just like, on the hindsight, in some ways, it ruins the game, doesn't it? It's just like, you know.
Yeah, no, it does. And I just think that, like, the issue we've got at the moment is that nobody knows what decision's going to be given for what given tackle. We see Skelly get sent off for something that, let's be honest, was a trip. And he got the red card for it. And then we see, like, 2 weeks later, the same official only give a yellow card for a keeper coming out with studs to the head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the Palace Millwall game, and you got the same referee that's then gone given a yellow card, and he's had to go to VAR to then change to a red card. So then,
I remember watching that game on TV. That was a right dangerous challenge, wasn't it? That Palace Millwall game, what that goalkeeper done there, that was like beyond reckless. That was.
This is what I'm saying. That game, they sent him to, even though they give him a yellow card, and they've done the right thing in the end by sending him to the VAR.
Yeah,
so that he made that decision. Why was the referee not on Saturday sent to the VAR video to watch that tackle?
Yeah.
Because at least at that point, right, he's gone to it, he's had a second look at it, and if he still thinks it's a yellow card at that point, that's his decision. But
yeah, exactly.
we've got an official who probably doesn't know whether he's made the right decision or not, and I don't think he has made the right decision. You got 2 or 3 people sitting at Stockley Park on VAR looking at that decision. You can't tell me there's not one out of them 3 people that says, do you know what? I think you should go to the screen, have a second check on it. This is what we can see. Make the decision whether you think it should stay a yellow card or a red card. Yeah. And I think if that happens, right, then do you know what? It kind of puts it to bed. But I just feel, right, that didn't happen. And there seems to be an issue that they would only send them to the VAR booth if they're definitely going to give a red card.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's just like, what, you know, where's the consistency? That's a prime example of it right there. So, you know, why isn't he going and looking at the monitor? You know, he should have looked at the monitor at least, like you say. And then if he made the decision, then we can respect his decision. But, you know, he's not even looking at the monitor. And, you know, there's, like you say, you've got the video assistant referees sitting at wherever they're based, in Hounslow, wherever it is they're based, you know. And not even, you know, not even saying nothing to go, oh, you should go and check the monitor. It's a reckless challenge. You know, I don't see, it just doesn't seem, and then it kind of makes us wonder as fans, oh, is there actually some kind of a bias here, you know, towards certain teams? Like, do they not want, obviously I know the title's well and truly over, but, you know, are they just trying to, you know, is there some sort of corruption going on behind the scenes? It does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Well, look at last season. Was it Liverpool Man City? Back end of the season in the running, McAllister getting studded in the chest by Daku with the greatest ref in the world, apparently, according to our fearless leader, Mr. Webb. No penalty, no red card, no nothing, and they backed him up on it.
Yeah,
and that would have been the difference.
It's a doubling down, even when they make 9 times out of 10 when there's a mistake and it's glaring and even when it says something, even when the media. Like when we had the Marge Lewis a few weeks ago against the Wolves, when the media are siding with Arsenal and saying they've messed up here, it's the doubling down for days on end. And we did nothing wrong. And even when it gets overturned, no, it did what he did. It was within the rules of the game. Oh, by the way, here's a fine. By the way, a fine that wouldn't have happened if your referee hadn't made a mistake in the first place. Howard Webb gets all this. Oh, he's transparent. No. He's transparent in the sense of it's double down FC on the Mike touchline with Marco on his knees. Let's be brutally honest there. And that's it. The letters. How long did the letters last, or the emails of apologies to the clubs every time they made a mess up every week? Because everyone went, because every single one, we look to learn from this mistake, and the same mistakes were happening, and the clubs and everyone and all the fans were saying, "Where you're learning from?" And obviously, Howard's gone, "Well, f you, then we're going back to how we were." Apart from the mic touch, so that'll still be the thing, but we're going to double down. Again, I've said again because I watch rugby union and all that. I've done for 20 odd years. They've had their equivalent of VAR for over 20 years, and I've never seen the level of controversy, even at the early stages, to this level. Why is it only this weekend we're seeing automated offside brought in? This was something we were told after the first international break of this season that we brought in. Then it was, it's not ready yet. Come Christmas, it's not ready yet next season. And suddenly, because everything's sort of pretty much done and dusted, oh, here we go, it's ready. We tested it. We tested it in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. It's ready. Off you go. How's that not dodgy?
Yeah, the
consistency as well of Saliba's red card against Bournemouth, and ever since then, every foul that's been the same thing, yellow card, and they justify it.
Yeah. It's either poor officiating or corruption. That's what I say. Poor, one of the two.
And for me, first of all, let you guys finish off. Like it's been mentioned on the screen here, VAR needs to be separate from the PGMOL and the FA in terms of it needs to be a separate entity that isn't. So your referees on the pitch, the officials, like you have in rugby, but in rugby. In the VAR room, their equivalent, it's not a ref or an official or their best mate. It's someone who's just tech-minded, knows the rules. And again, we'll say, if they've missed something or the referee not sure, put it on the big screen in the stadium. And again, the audios, again, everyone hears the audio as well, at home and in the stadium. And the referee has a final call. There's none of this, well, you've missed this, Michael Oliver, and you say you've missed this. I think you need to change your mind, my friend. If you don't, you're going to look like a fool. Look at last year against Liverpool, against Tottenham. The goal that was ruled for offside, they thought it was onside. No communication. There's no communication. There's never been. That's never improved. This season's rammed it at home. The communication is even worse this year.
Yeah, yes, it's very bad. Poor officiating.
What I don't really understand is though why we're going backwards now. Obviously, this is what I'm going to say. Like Howard Webb's been in the role now for like 2 to 3 years, isn't he? He's got his own show where he comes out and explains, obviously, the decisions that are made during the month, and then they kind of discuss whether it's right or wrong. But we're getting worse, not better. Like I've said this for like the last 2 years. The game's not about football anymore. The game every single week ends up being about decisions. And that's obviously not just in our game. It's like literally all over the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? We're seeing it time and time again. I kind of get it when we like referees on the pitch because, do you know what, sometimes it can be hard to make a decision on a split second. But what I don't get is that we've got officials that are sitting in Stockley Park. And it's not just one of them. So one of them, there's 2 or 3 of them, so they can kind of discuss it before they go back to the ref. And they're still not making the correct decisions. Now, this is happening time and time again. And you would have thought after the Everton Liverpool one, Howard Webb would have had a meeting with all the referees and like had a sit down in terms of like why did this decision happen? What we can do to make sure it doesn't happen next time. Do you know what? Like I'd be looking at potentially like if you are debatable in terms of a decision where you know it could be in between yellow and red, just send the referee to the VAR screen.
Yeah.
You have the final decision because you're the official. If you don't see it as being a red card, then don't issue a red card. If you do see it as a red card, then reverse it to a red card. But we're not even getting that bit right. And it just concerns me now that we've got Howard Webb, right, that's been in this role for so long now in my eyes. And we're not getting any better. We're getting worse. We've seen absolute everything over the last 3 years. Let's be honest, we've seen absolute everything in terms of awful officiating, awful decisions. And I totally respect that we need to respect our officials. I totally respect that. Obviously, we should be driving that. But it's very hard to demand respect from the paying fans week after week after week after week after week, when there is no improvement in terms of our officiating of the game. And I'm just looking at it from afar in terms of what I see each week, and I think it's getting worse, not better. And I think these referees don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
Do I think it's corrupt? I'd love to. I would love to say no. I don't think it is, but I don't believe you can have a certain quantity of officials that sit in one region of the country, and they're not going to be biased. It just does not sit right to me whatsoever. And I know people will say, well, do you know what I mean? They're the best selected ones, and they would have gone through a process and all that. But yeah, again, you would be trying as like the obviously you're like Powered Web, you're like obviously running the corporation, all that. You'll be trying to get like referees from all over the country, wouldn't you, to kind of narrow that down and put to bed that kind of allegation that this is what it is. Like, we've got 9 to 10 officials that are in Manchester. We've got literally one that probably comes from London. And I do think there's a big bias there. And I do think that referees make decisions in terms of where they're located. And if I'm going to put it out there properly, they're more likely to walk down the street and get hit with Manchester United fans and Manchester City fans, do you know what I mean, as such, or Liverpool fans. And is there a worry then that they don't want to make them kind of decisions?
It does make you think, yeah. It does put into perspective how this thing keeps happening with wrongful decisions being made. You know, it does make you wonder, you know, well, surely there must be some sort of corruption going on here, or some sort of, you know,
unconscious bias at least,
illusion, whatever.
I used to hear that, like the phrase, it evens itself out of the season. That phrase, right, I totally disagree with. I absolutely, totally disagree with it, because, and I see yesterday, Ryan, you got in a conversation with someone around, obviously, Arsenal acting victims again, in terms of, in terms of kind of, obviously, things happening and all that. But things, and I'm just saying it from my perspective. Like, we're not the only team. I think Wolves over the last couple of years have absolutely come out the wrong side of it whatsoever. Everton, they're another team. You know what I mean? But we seem to have a decision every single week that's not correct, or it's not right. Do you know what I mean? Or there's a controversial coming out the game in terms of something hasn't happened. Whether it's Lewis Skelly's penalty that was given away at Everton, whether it's Norgard should have been sent off. You know what I mean? There just seems to be every single week in an Arsenal game, we come at the game not discussing the football as such. The first thing we discuss is basically an official decision, which has basically had an impact in the result of the game. Now, I pretty much said from the get-go, the only way you can combat that is by getting a top-class striker and a top-class left winger, and you need to just outscore teams by 2 to 3 goals, because that's the only way we're going to win the title. Because I don't see at the moment, during the season, we're looking at 1-0 games, 2-1 games. Even the last 2 years, there's been a lot of games where we've just about come out the right side. Yeah. But we're relying on referees to be making the right decisions during the game. And for me, we can't, as a club, we can't afford to be doing that, because, and let's be honest, I think Ryan hit on the head. The one at Liverpool Man City last year in the last minute, it's a blatant penalty. Everyone in the ground can see it. Everyone literally watching at home can see it. The commentators can see it. Do you know what I mean? VAR can see it. And you're telling me there's not 1 out of 4 officials that are sitting on that pitch that don't see that any other way. And it has an impact. It has a massive impact. It seems as well that was a big difference in terms of Manchester City winning the league.
Absolutely.
And the irony is, since then, they now use that image as part of on their website officially as part of dangerous foul play. The irony behind it. But they doubled down. They go, no, nothing wrong there. Everything's okay. And like people say in the chat side, it's like, it needs to be governed as a separate government, basically, in terms of governing elsewhere. Self-governed companies don't tend to do great, so to say, and it'll be an ongoing thing. And everyone gave it. This is the thing. When Howard Webb came along to replace Riley, all the media was like, "Oh, he's done amazing in MLS." With all due respect, it's MLS. It's America. It's American football, American soccer, when I call it. The standard's lower. It wasn't coming from a Serie A, Germany, or something where it's European football, where the standards were sort of matching because of all that. It's MLS, and he's come back, and it's again, it's one friend looking after many. Basically, these are my old mates when I was here as a ref. I'm going to look after them. Look at a couple of years back, not last season before. Ironically, we're talking about Brentford this week, the Brentford game this week. Arsenal Brentford in just before the run-in for the title race that year finished 1-1. Should have been 1-0 actually. Sorry, it should have finished 1-0. Their goal was offside, but VAR, Chris Moss or whatever his name is, forgot to put the lines in. Never done that before. Never done it since. And double down, and only on the Friday afterwards did they let him go. And then 6 months later, he's now trained the bastards. There's no coincidence that since he's been brought in to train these officials, the refereeing standards have got worse.
Yeah, it does beg the question.
Yeah, how is it from a non-Arsenal point of view? Bournemouth versus Chelsea this season, at where they're playing tonight at Bournemouth. 14 yellow cards were given by Anthony Taylor, and yet he got obviously most of them weren't yellow card offences. He gets suspended for 1 week's pay and all that, and gets demoted to the Championship. And he's back in the fold the following week afterwards. There's no accountability overall, and for me, Howard Webb needs to go, and his replacement needs to be not one of their mates. It needs to be an ex-referee from abroad, whoever that may be from abroad. Kalena from a FIFA, get him in. Would be my answer. Get him in. Because he has no affiliation to them or said clubs in the league, and let him do what he's got to do. Because clearly we've seen since the PGMO has been formed, we are hiring ex-refs to head it up. For ex-Premier League refs to head this up, and it's just them looking after each other, and the standard refereeing is getting worse. When was it? When we were growing up watching Premier League in the early years, in the early 2000s, did we know the ref's name by all the ref's first name, last name, where they're from, what they do, and their part-time jobs at the time, the ins and outs of their lives? Did we know that? No. Nowadays, it's literally like they want to be the focal point of everything. Look at us, we're the celebrities. Yeah. Look at us, we are. If it weren't for us, this wouldn't be happening. They're not doing it. I mean, it's frustrating because I get sick to death, and again, you guys as well, but sick to death of saying it, having the same conversation every week. And like Liam says, it seems to be every week, especially from our point of view. We're not talking about the football. We're talking about the referee, like we're doing today. On a normal, in the last week, again, going back to that challenge on Norgod, 5-6 years ago, that's a red card. Suddenly, in the last 5-6 years, it's been phased into being a yellow. I was watching RefWatch today, and Dermot Gallagher goes, famously, it's a strong yellow, not a red, though.
Oh.
Could have broke his leg, but sure, why
but
not?
It's not a strong yellow, is it?
Not.
It's not a strong yellow. When you watch Lewis Skelly get sent off for what he done, and then he was backing that, in terms of
back into the hill.
He can understand why he was given, even though it wasn't the right decision. Yeah, right. It every other week, yeah, right. He's just backtracking on what he's talking about. Do you know what I mean? And we get clips that come up where he said it even a year ago. Yeah, that should have happened. That should have been a red. And then this year, it's well, yeah, it's a strong yellow. There isn't such thing as a strong yellow. It's either a yellow or a red. I don't buy this, an orange card. There is no orange card.
No.
There is no orange cards. So get out that mindset. It's an orange card. If it's anything but a yellow, it's a red card. He goes in from behind. Yeah. He goes in from behind. He's planted it in. It's a red card.
Yeah.
It's a red card. The referee should be sent to the VAR box. He hasn't. Yeah, again for me, right. It's in Stockley Park. That's the issue.
Yep.
Give the referee the benefit of the doubt. He should have been sent to that screen to have that final decision.
Again, to touch on Dan Gallagher, again, his reason behind why it wasn't a red card is because he didn't injure the player. So what? That's sort of relevant for me.
Yeah.
End of the day, he's making a challenge that could injure him on another day. He needs to be punished. Again, I say 5-6 years ago, going backwards even further, it's a red card. Why are we being lenient in certain tackles and certain challenges when it suits? Because it might upset this fan base, it might upset these players, it might upset that manager. Be consistent and say tackles from behind, scissoring a player from behind is no matter what, if he breaks his leg or not, or whatever, it is a red card. Even if he doesn't injure a player, it's a red card because he's gone from behind and he's scissoring him. And the potential is there to cause harm. Until they get that, go back to that and ram that down the throats of everyone, we're going to be sitting here again saying the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, there needs to be some sort of re-coaching on the refereeing, it seems. The officiating is getting worse, isn't it? It's just like no consistency in making the right decisions, a lot of wrongful decisions being made. What's going on?
Sorry about that, guys.
No, it's no way, right?
No worries, mate.
Yeah. So I think we'll kind of venture on now and get away from the kind of officiating side.
It weren't actually
planned into the evening that we was going to highly discuss it, but what I will say is that yet again it has an effect. I think if that obviously decision gets made, we do go on and win the game. And if that decision doesn't get made, and don't get me wrong, we still didn't win the game. And I think, like you said, Ryan, rightly so. We did pretty much dominate possession in that game. We had all the ball. They didn't do much, Brentford, whatsoever. But we give them one half a chance, and obviously they score from it, and obviously then it's 1-1. And we always seem to kind of struggle with Brentford at home, and it's a weird one. Because when we go away to Brentford, I think we're quite comfortable when we go there. And I think we always play pretty well there, apart from obviously the first day of the season when they will first come up. And again, I'll go back to these certain teams that we play, whether it's at home or away, and we struggle with, like your Aston Villas, do you know what I mean? Or your
West Ham.
Yeah, your West Hams, your Brentfords at home. And this is where we've got to get better. And this is where, for me, and I know we rotate the team, and I'm just looking at it from an overall season perspective, but this is where the upgrades are needed. Now, I was very frustrated on Saturday night with Martinelli and Trossard again. And I will continue to say that I don't believe moving forward, both of them are good enough to warrant a starting place, which will potentially mean one of them might have to go. Which I think would probably be Trossard more than Martinelli at the moment in terms of the kind of age structure that Trossard's in, and probably he'll probably want to go play first team football as well elsewhere. But we just seem to get the same performances out of Martinelli time and time again. I want to kind of concentrate on Martinelli because I thought he was very, very frustrating Saturday. Very frustrating. Why is it that he can't get this consistency point back? Like, we're not expecting him to be Bukayo Saka because he ain't Bukayo Saka. But I'll continue to say it again. We get one really good performance out of him against Fulham. Okay, he played well against Real Madrid, but the whole team collectively played well. But why can't Martinelli do it week after week, game after game?
Yeah, it just seems with Martinelli, he seems to be. He kind of. I've noticed when he plays, he gets dispossessed quite easily, or he overruns a bit. Sometimes sometimes he does run quite well, but then he can lose the ball quite easily. Don't you think?
Yep. Yeah. You're right. He'll run into a dead end, or he will lose the ball. Where, do you know what? There are certain players that will just outmuscle him. There are certain players that will just outmuscle him. And then there's other players. This is the weird situation. So that if he'll come up against Trent Alexander-Arnold, it's like a light bulb triggers in his head, and he'll then literally just play all brilliant against Trent Arnold game after game after game that we play Liverpool. And I just we've got to the point with Martinelli where, do you know what? The first season he proper come in 2022. Well, it wasn't the first season, but that was his first like big season.
First, yeah.
And then obviously last year his performance dipped, and we was like, well, maybe it's just obviously one season. The Xhaka went. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it a bit of the connection over the left-hand side? But we're getting to the back end of this season now, and the performances ain't rising. I don't think his stats are that special in terms of goals and assists as well. That needs to improve for me. And I just find him very, very frustrating. And I know if we get one good game out of him, we're going to get 3 or 4 average ones at best. What's your kind of thoughts on it, Ryan?
Yeah, like I say, I think in terms of the two players you put forward, then Martinelli and Trossard, my main frustration was Trossard. Every time, first half and second half, I don't get how he finished the game. Every time he touched the ball, it ended in basically not in a good way. It's like it would either overtouch it or overhit it, or he'd overthink it and run into trouble. Especially when we're trying to get back in the lead in the second half. And it's like the pair of them do, as you say, like they have a good game like we saw a couple of weeks. Was it last week? Sorry, against after the international break for Martinelli. We'll see that moment of he'll give us that hope that he can regain that form from a couple of years ago, and then he goes back. Then he goes back at himself and goes within himself, and I don't get it, because obviously we had this discussion the other night, in terms of we've been saying all season, does Arteta hold these players back a bit here in terms of letting them loose and this, that, and the other? And clearly that's not the case, because players took responsibility against Madrid, again, in terms of free kicks and all that. So it's clearly not a micromanager's thing. And every game you watch, be it at home or at the stadium, every game, how many years Martinelli's been here now, and Arteta's been working together, and yet it's always Martinelli getting the rollicking. Every game, especially for the last couple of years, last couple of seasons, he is getting an absolute rollicking for not doing whatever Arteta wants him to do. And then obviously with that, we know how ruthless Arteta can be, and that's why we're being heavily linked with left wingers this summer. One in particular in La Liga, but clearly enough's enough. And we obviously the club and Arteta and the players are serious. They want to win trophies, the major trophies. We can't, especially in the modern era, have players like Martinelli, as good as he can be, not performing to the levels he can do. And the same goes for Trossard as well. I mean, when he came in, he's on his day, he's one of our best finishers. Let's not get it twisted. But again, it's just he's better sitting from the bench, but circumstances have held that he has to play more games because of injuries. But he's a frustrating player as well, because we know what he's capable of, but again, it's another. I think next season, we'll see. Assuming that we have no these injuries issues next season, I think we're going to see a lot less of him next year in terms of minutes. It'd be more from the bench when just to see games out. And Gabby's going to have to step up. Assuming Arsenal do the business in the summer, we get a left winger in, part of our transfer business, who's an upgrade on him currently, to push him. Unless he steps up, he could be at the door in 12 months as well.
Yeah,
I think he kind of needs a better player, so it'll inspire him to kind of get to that next level. I think because Trossard's performances are not too consistent themselves, if we're being totally honest. The problem is that Martinelli probably thinks, do you know what I mean? Like, he ain't really a main threat to me. Like, I still believe that I will be the first choice when it comes down to the decisions being made on most games in terms of the big games and all that. And that's pretty much what it is, isn't it? Like, if we got them both fit and we got a big game, we'll play Martinelli. But I think what he needs is, I think he needs someone to come in who's either at the same level as him or higher in him, to give him that little bit of a, like, do you know what I mean? You've got to raise your game. The way you're going to get back into this team is by being better than this geezer or this guy. So let's just say it is someone like Nico Williams at Atletico Bilbao. If he comes in, right, Williams takes that space, Martinelli has to do absolutely everything he can when he comes off the bench to kind of impact that and kind of go to the next level to be able to like compete with Nico Williams for a spot there. And I think that's what he potentially needs now. I think he needs proper competition. There's no disrespect to Trossard because Trossard's had some really good moments at Arsenal. And it's not like I don't dislike Martinelli because I do like Martinelli and I've seen I've seen the ability he's got and I've seen what he can do for us. And like, I always want him to do well because he's a nice enough kid. He's had some really good moments at Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Some really, really good moments. And he just really, really frustrates me at times. And like, I'm reading Sandsy here. He's saying that, that obviously Trossard's pretty much leaving this summer. That's Martinelli. Obviously, he's coming back from an injury like Odegaard, and hopefully they'll be good next season. If it's come next season, they'll be good. I just think that he needs proper competition now. Do you know what I mean? In terms of that spot. And it's quite an interesting one as well with Odegaard. I think a lot of his form is pretty much, and I wouldn't use the injury as such because when he come back just after the injury, he was absolutely superb for 2 to 3 games. Absolutely superb. But obviously he's had the baby. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes. He has kind of lost his form and all that. But we do know what a class act Odegaard is. But there are times when I sit there and I think, I'd love to see one area get given that opportunity in that position. Do you know what I mean? Last 20, 25 minutes of games.
Yeah.
And again, that's on Arteta, though. I suppose we can have is rotating. We talked about Saka, rotating Saka, and obviously because of his hamstring and Gabriel's and this, that, and the other last week. Arteta, this has got to be a learning curve for him that he needs to rotate more and use his squad.
Or does he not see one area being that player? And does he see him being like a winger, like as such? I don't think so long term. As I said, I think long term he either plays literally as in that Odegaard role or as a centre forward because he's got all the attributes and all the ability to kind of be able to play in both roles. But at the moment, I look at it and I get it because Saka's only come back and Saka's been injured. Do you know what I mean? So he can't play Saka 90 minutes. So one area he does need to rotate on the right and he does need to kind of bring him on for Saka because we don't want to be pushing Saka. And it's the total right decision. But I do think there's been certain times when, do you know what I mean? I think we could just be a little bit more kind of, what's the word? I don't want to say risky. I just want us to be a little bit more kind of
daring.
Yeah, daring in terms of putting him into that role because he's got all the attributes to change a game. Do you know what I mean? If you get him 25 yards goal, he can get that goal.
And also, you'd like to think that he sees him or saw him at one point as that competition for the rotational player for Odegaard. Obviously, he's let Smith-Rowe go. He sent Fabio Vieira back to Porto in this season as well. Didn't replace either of them. So you'd like to think that would have been the case at some point. But obviously, this summer would be a big indicator, really.
I think with the left winger coming in as well, it's quite an interesting one, isn't it? Because we talk about Martinelli. Actually, Martinelli could be the backup as well for Saka on the right, as such. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it might be that one area does get pushed back into that kind of positional role come next season.
Yeah.
So I think he will eventually go into that, but I do think like if we get someone like Williams in or another left winger, I do think that managing Saka next year is a must. We can't have the same situation happen again with Saka. We can't I like the way we're using him now. I like the way that we're giving him 60, 70 minutes. I like the way that we've got a player who's able to come and play it for 70 minutes. And let's be honest, one area put a fantastic ball in for Tierney in the first half. Yeah. So it was only because it was offside that the goal weren't given because everyone had been raving about, obviously, the ball he put in as well. So he's having good impact, and what it's doing is it's keeping Saka fresh, and we can use him like for the big games, but we've actually got someone now that we can, do you know what I mean? Like just give him that, bring him in, take him out. And I think Odegaard needs that at times as well. I think Odegaard needs at times, right? And I know he's the captain. And I know he should play literally probably most of the games because he's a skipper. But at the same time, I think giving him a breather and putting someone like one area in there and just pick and choosing his games as such, I think you'll get I think next season you get Odegaard back to where he needs to get to. it's too many games now. We know that. We spoke about that. You look at international football, you look at the Champions League, we're in the League Cup, we're in the FA Cup. It's ridiculous. These guys are traveling all over the world week after week. Like, they're not robots, you know what I mean? Like, we're expecting a lot out of them. Like, in January, why should we be surprised that they went to Newcastle and absolutely folded? Do you know what I mean?
No,
like, there's no squad.
Yeah.
They've just played 10, 11 games. They'd gone. They had 2 Champions League games they had to go and play in January.
Yeah.
And we've got no players to rotate them with. And this is the bit next year, yeah, right. And I think if he gets this right, he'll probably have a better chance of winning the league because of it. Because I think it's held him back at times. I think him by not having a squad or not wanting to utilise the bench of what he's got, I think it's held him back a little bit. I even look at the season when obviously Reece Nelson scored and we dropped it at the end. I think if you had rotated certain players in that season and put a little bit more kind of onus on the players that are on the bench, maybe these players don't get injured at the back end of the season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
2 of the 3 seasons now, we've lost a centre back in April. So we lost Saliba in one season and we've lost Gabriel in one season. Do you know what I mean? Like, it hasn't hit us yet with Gabriel, but I think we got probably better centre backs now than we had 2 years ago. But me and Ryan spoke about this offline, and like we were saying about kind of like the injuries that we're getting as such. And for me, it's because we're playing these guys all time and time again. Like, you look at Zagreb at home. Do we really need to play Saliba and Gabriel against Zagreb at home?
That's it. Yeah, we should rest. Yeah, he needs to rotate it a bit more and rest certain players. Like, keep overworking players and overtiring them. That's when we get hit with the injuries, and that's why we seem to have this problem.
And actually, we're playing Saliba and Kivior against the best club team in the world, and we win 3-0.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it does work, doesn't it? When we rotate.
Yeah, I just don't get right. Like in that scenario that we had with the Champions League in January, we didn't use certain players whatsoever. Kivior didn't get used whatsoever in that month, really. No. Do you know what I mean? He could have been used. He should have been used. Now, I'm not saying that Gabriel doesn't get injured in April because of it, but do you know what? If you're giving them kind of taking them out of the firing line for games that they don't really need to compete in and don't really need to play in, then I think he's going to have a better opportunity of winning the league because of it. And I think this is where he needs to be better, Arteta. And like there shouldn't be now after this season anything more that he's not happy with his squad in terms of the bench. And he's having to use all these players now. And I know on Saturday we didn't get the win, but actually we was doing all right till we made the subs. So we actually brought Saka, Odegaard and Skelly on, and then we conceded.
Yeah, that's the point, actually.
Do you know what I mean? Like, actually, that team he put out was doing, like, as you said,
they're doing a good job. Yeah.
They were comfortable. Like, I'm not saying did we need to. I don't think we needed to bring them on personally. I don't. That's my personal opinion. I don't actually think we needed to bring them on at that point. We was 1-0 up. I'm not saying we lost the game because of it or drew the game because of it, but have more faith in the players that you've got. Do you know what I mean? It is good that you've got the likes of Saka. I was quite surprised that he brought some of them on only because, the Real Madrid game. Now, on a normal Premier League game, of course you'd bring them on with 30 minutes to go. They're your big name players, big game players. But I just think now he needs to be more confident in terms of these games. Like your Bournemouth's at home, do you know what I mean? Or no disrespect to Bournemouth, but look, all them kind of teams at home, have more confidence in your Kiviors, have more confidence in your squad, your Morenos now. Like Moreno's proven to us, like we all sat here in February, we ain't got a striker. The geezer's like the second or third leading goal scorer since February in the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's really come to show that what he's worth, I think, especially in last week's game, immense goal that was, wasn't it? Really was like proper immense. And I think there's definitely more to come for him, and you can definitely see why we invested in a player like him.
Yeah. Question here, I'm from Sansi. I'll go to you, George. This one is Williams and that. Do you think Williams is an upgrade on Martinelli? If you look at their stats, they're very compatible. and Williams isn't flying as he was last season?
It's a bit of a gamble. It's a bit of a 50-50, I think, really, on Williams. The stats are similar, but I do think it's a bit of a gamble with him, really, because he's a very similar player to Martinelli in some ways, in the way he's playing, and but it might be worth giving him a chance. But I have to say, really, it's a 50-50 gamble on that player.
What's your thoughts, Ryan, on Williams?
I think it is obviously every transfer is a gamble. Let's not get it twisted. Even the most proven players have proven in the past from Arsenal and other clubs they're gambles. Some work, some don't. But maybe again, it might be a situation of bringing him in, surrounding him with all due respect to Bilbao, but upgrades in terms of what he's facing, what he's playing with currently. In terms of obviously, if it comes to Arsenal, you've got Saka, you've got Odegaard, you've got Declan, you've got hopefully a number 9 or Havertz up top, Martinelli. You'd have trying to more talent along of his level, of the potential level he could get to, and plus he's still young.
Yeah,
it might work. Hopefully, it works, because obviously the alternative is another Pepe situation. But again, that's my point. Every transfer is a gamble. We've just got to take that. We've got to take that risk.
I think with the release clause, I think it makes it a less risk. If I'm being honest, I want him. I like him. I think he is still a bit raw, but you know what? I think between him and Martinelli, they could push each other. I think they'll see each other as a threat, and I think it'd be good competition. And there's nothing wrong with good competition. Do you know what I mean? I don't know where you're going to really get much better in terms of left winger, if I'm being totally honest. Yeah? I'm looking out there and I'm like, do you know what I mean? What is there? Like, I like the guy at Brighton, but like he's what's he, 27, 28 now?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So like, it probably ain't at the right age in terms of what we're looking for. And it wouldn't really make sense paying big money for him, because you've got Martinelli, who's 22, 23. So that wouldn't make sense, really. But I'm looking out there and I'm thinking, like, what is really viable and realistic to get in? And I look at him and I think, well, he is the guy that is realistic. And I think because they'll be at the same age range, I think they'll push each other. And do you know what? It's nothing wrong with having Martinelli on the bench in games. There's nothing wrong with having Nico Williams on the bench in games. Yet again, it's about rotation. It's about Arteta getting the best out of them and knowing when to kind of pull one in and pull one out. And that's what this team needs. That's what they need to become champions of the Premier League, in my opinion. Like, I look at Man City and like Pep Guardiola, he's the king at doing it. I know this year, obviously, they've had their struggles, but when you look at seasons gone by, when it's October, November, December, he will rotate that team.
Yeah,
he will rotate that team.
And even not in the early rounds of the League Cup in the season, if it's like a league, the Man City get a League One or League Two team, he isn't playing any of his senior players. He'll play a couple second string, but mainly you play the kids. If they get further quarterfinals, semi-finals, that's when you'll blood in a bit more experience. But apart from that, and that's the thing of obviously this season with Arteta, when it's obviously like Bolton's and whoever, I can't remember who else we played in there, Preston and things like that.
Yeah,
you're playing Saliba or Gabriel. Western both. We've got Kivior. You've got Tony had Timber, and this, that, and the up. We had the squad to do it. It's just he's got to have a bit more faith.
Now I know we haven't got that, like an unlimited.
Tommy Ash, just get rid of Tommy Ash in the summer, please. Just get rid of him.
But I look at Mark Guay at Crystal Palace, and people might go, "Well, why would you bring him in?" But actually goes, right. 2001 to 2002 season, we had Martin Keown, Tony Adams, and Sol Campbell. Three world-class centre-backs. Do you know what I mean? Three absolute Premier League centre-backs these guys were. Why can't you have a Gabriel, Saliba and Guay in a team, and you rotate them and pick them right? That's what Wenger did, because obviously he knew Adams was coming to the back end of his career, but he brought Adams in and out of that season and played him in the games where he needed to get him in for. But he rotated it well, and I think that's what we need to do with this centre back. I think I would honestly, if we was going to go for a centre back, I would go for him. Now I know he's going to cost big money, but when you look at it, what is he? 23, 24. He's a captain of Crystal Palace, so he's a leader. He's playing for his national team. Yeah. He wants to go to the next step. And you look at it, do you really want him to go to Liverpool?
Not really.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So I look at that player and I think he would be absolutely perfect in terms of bringing him in at the age he is now with the experience he's got and actually supporting Saliba and Gabriel.
Well, it also again, it goes back to we talked about Pep a minute ago. A couple, was it 3 or 4 years ago? His centre back options were Eric Laporte, Ake, I'm trying to think now. Guys that's there now, I can't remember his name now. Diaz.
Yep.
And there's another one.
John Stones.
That's John Stones. Again, to all quality to the standards of what Pep wants. But he rotated them. Again, like we're talking about, he rotated. It wasn't like a guaranteed centre-back partnership and that was it, and you're like third and fourth choice, whatever. Throughout the season, you'd have his first choice pairing, but he'd rotate smartly when needed, even in the league.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked for him.
Yeah, and that's what we as a club and Arteta needs to do as well, because obviously these hamstrings and ACLs are becoming more prominent in football. If we want a chance of winning this league title next season, we need to lessen them chances of them injuries happening.
I think it's an interesting. I think it is an interesting one in terms of kind of looking at what we could do next season in terms of kind of making it probably less demanding on the players as such, because like when we look at the schedule, like it's quite nice this summer. Once there's not a summer tournament. Well, I know you've got the Club World Cup, but
not for us. Not for us. Well, cool.
Not for us. And I'm glad not for us, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, we talk about that. Like, if we're successful, we win the Champions League. At some point, we have to play in that. Do you know what I mean?
In 4 years' time, yeah.
Yeah, again, we'll need to get a squad ready to be able to be ready for that and manage the squad, which probably Chelsea and Man City are going to have to do this summer in terms of it. And this is my worry with like all these ACLs. We're getting hamstring injuries. That there is no respite for these players. Like you look at Declan Rice, he probably had 2 weeks off. He probably had about 2 weeks off after the European Championship final.
Yeah,
he was back before the first game of the season.
Yeah,
and he started the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Now,
whereas back in the day, back in the Wenger's time, the players went deep in tournaments. No matter what, they'd get a full month and a half off. Even if into the first couple of weeks of the season, he looks after these players, and that again, Arteta has to do that as well.
That's what we need to do. Definitely, that need to give the players more rest, because if we continue to overstretch them like this, it's going to be more ACL injuries, more hamstring injuries. That's the problem, isn't it?
It's the whole reason why the season's been seen as a bit of a letdown. And I've got to put it out to Robbie Mustoe. I thought his analysis of Arsenal over the kind of the reasoning behind not competing with Liverpool for the title at the back end of the season was absolutely spot on, and kind of shown Gary Neville up, which was always nice to see as well. But there is that piece as well, isn't there? There is that piece that, yeah, we've had injuries. We've really been unfortunate with red cards. Some have obviously cost us points. You look at the injuries that we've got. But I think that if we're a club and if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'd be looking at, okay, we've got these injuries, but why have we got these injuries? Do you know what I mean? Why do we continue to get hamstring injury after hamstring injury? Do you know what I mean? And it's quite straightforward in my eyes. It's the demand on the players. Do you know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. Why are we surprised that Martinelli went out injured and Havertz and Jesus literally obviously got injured as well? Like I know Jesus hadn't played many games, but we know Jesus is a risk anyway in terms of injuries. But you look at Havertz, yet again, he's played a whole summer. I know they only got to, I think, the quarterfinals, Germany, didn't they? But then he comes back in. He's played up front pretty much all season. Jesus wasn't around till probably November, December time anyway.
Yeah.
Yet again, another player that's pretty much been overplayed. And he's been overplayed in a position that probably he didn't think he was going to be playing in 2 years ago. And I think this is the piece where if we get this right and get the right players in this summer, which I really honestly believe we will do, hopefully we won't experience this kind of issue again, because it has been absolute brutal this year, isn't it, in terms of injuries?
Totally, I agree. It has been, and I think really that could be a thing that cost us the league in some ways, while we're getting all these draws and stuff, because we're suffering a lot from the injuries.
Yep. Sorry, mate. 1 sec. Just replying back to Ryan. But yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting moving forward in terms of the transfer window. Just obviously, lastly, before we do move on to Real Madrid, obviously Thomas Partey went off injured, which is obviously a bit of a blow. Then Jorginho went off injured, which kind of just sums up our kind of season in terms of injuries. Are we worried? Do we fear that Partey won't be fit Wednesday? Like, let's be honest. What worries me is it's probably not Partey not being in, because I believe we've got Moreno who could go back there. What worries me is that I think we need Moreno up front Wednesday, because there's going to be times when we need to get that ball held up there. Do you know what I mean? We're going to need to kind of need that player as such. I don't want to be brutal with Trossard, but I don't think this is the kind of game where I want to see probably Saka, Martinelli and Trossard until probably the 70th minute if needed. I think we need Moreno up there, kind of set pieces, defending them, obviously, but have that additional that you've got Partey and Rice and Odegaard in there as well. Do you know what I mean? But do you fear, Ryan, that he could be out Wednesday? Do you think there's a bigger chance that he would be out?
Going by what I initially heard from Arteta after the game, you're saying that Partey felt a pull. Nothing actually happened in terms of fully going. Thankfully, I think it's 60-40 chance of him playing. I think we need him to play. I should say, I think we need him in that midfield, that bit of bite, that as people have been calling him, that general, just to keep things ticking. Let Declan, let Odegaard do their thing while he mops up and does what he does. And again, he knows how intimidating that the Bernabeu can be. Obviously, ex-Atletico as well. That dynamic as well to it. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. He's not going to definitely play in any capacity. I think if he does start, he's available and does start. Actually, we'll find out tomorrow if they travel out. But if he does, I think we get at least 65 minutes out of him, and then we'll probably take him off for whoever's on the bench, basically, like rotating that from that side of things, just to make sure. But I think we'll get at least an hour and 5 out of him. Hopefully being the opposite word, but yeah.
Hopefully.
Is there a little bit as well in terms of kind of Wednesday?
Check.
Hello, Adam. By the way, good evening, Gary. How are you, mate?
Doing good. Hello, Liam. Hello, Ryan.
Hi.
And hello,
George.
George.
Hello,
it says Mr. E. I think it says Mr.
Oh,
E.
yeah. Mr. Type in there.
George, welcome. Everybody in the chat. Sounds like you got a new subscriber. It sounds like this Mr. Tom fella is going to subscribe now. So there you go. You're welcome.
There we go. Woohoo.
You're welcome. See what I do for you?
Yeah.
What a man you are, Gary. What a man you are.
So humble.
I interrupted. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. I'm going to go through following this, Gary, as it goes. But yeah, obviously with the game on Wednesday, we know that we need a goal, don't we? Like, I think the most important thing here, in my opinion, is that a lot of teams have gone to the Bernabeu this year and scored goals. Real Madrid are leaking goals this year. So for me, for us to sit up in a low block and try and defend Real Madrid for 90 minutes would just kind of put pressure on us. And I don't think Arteta would do that whatsoever with the players we got. So it is kind of vital. But looking like if you're getting more to the back end of the game and they've got to open up more, like I was even thinking like potentially Martinelli as centre forward could be an ideal situation. Like if you're talking about last 20, 25 minutes and they're opening up gaps, he could be perfect for this night, couldn't he? In terms of that situation, if Real Madrid went, well, say 1-0 or like, and they're chasing 2 goals the last 20 minutes ago, they're going to have to gamble, aren't they? They're going to have to push men forward. Do we think Martinelli could potentially be considered a centre forward on Wednesday at some point? Gary?
I don't see it, but I do see maybe allowing him to run through that middle when we're on into the defense, and they either make a mistake or Reyes sees an opening. Because I mean, we just saw if you can see Rice do that against them, then if that's Martinelli, and and maybe he has Trossard or Moreno up ahead of him, that might be just as well. That might be just as good. So we need to take advantage of all their mistakes. They did that against us. They just weren't able to be clinical with it, right? And if we don't do anything but play our football, we'll be fine because our football beats most teams, especially a team like them who's going to open themselves up. So personally, Arteta just shouldn't have to say anything else than whatever he just said to them last Tuesday, right? Going into that game, because we got those. We'll do the same things no matter who's in or out the lineup. We're going to do the same thing, right? If it's Rice in the 6, we'll still do the same thing, right? If it's Moreno in the midfield, we'll still do the same things. Trossard will be making runs if he's playing in the middle. So I think this is a good place for us to know. No matter what anybody does, they know what they're going to get, and they're going to pay for it if they make mistakes. So most teams in the Premier League know that, so they don't open themselves up for those mistakes. So we never get those opportunities. All right, we just saw that against pretty much any game you watch, like 3 of the 4 games we played. In the last couple of games we played, they don't open themselves up enough for us to punish them, right? So, and we get punished when we make one. So I just feel like those first 20 minutes would be key. And if we're able to score in those first 20 minutes, I think that will shut up that stadium.
Yeah.
Because defensively, we're just going to be, I think I've been saying it all season. Just lean on our defense. And they've actually been around. They've actually answered the call every time, right? The only time we've had a problem is when we don't score a goal. Right, we can't score that second goal. When we can't even score the first goal, then we kind of that's when we have problems. But a draw works best for us, right? So if nobody scores and it's an ugly game, we'll be like tense for the first 60 minutes. But those last 30, if it's still 0-0, if it's still a 1-1, we know we probably can shut them down because we know he's just going to bring on Tierney late in the game and say, all right, one of our wings, you're off, and it just like shut it down, So just don't do anything different, Arteta. I think I like the idea of having Martinelli just run through the middle and open, when they make mistakes, because they will, and they'll probably do it even more. So, right. And if you saw where when Raya was able to get that ball to Rice, there was nobody on that right side, right? Nobody. Yeah. I mean, Partey's running down the right side. You're like, how in the world is that? Right? So they will open themselves up, I think, because they come at us. As long as they're not clinical, we'll be fine. And then that's our defense putting pressure on them. So yeah, I know. I think I rambled on, but yeah,
no, that's good. Because I was going to say to you, like, obviously, Partey and Marino have got a lot of experience of playing in the Bernabeu, and I think that's key on Wednesday night, isn't it? Like, 2 players have obviously played for Atletico Madrid. And Sociedad, like, at least we've got players that have experienced playing at the Bernabeu and played in the Liga. Do you know what I mean? So they'll know what to expect on Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, no, we definitely need that. But like I said, defense travels everywhere, right?
Yep.
Defense travels, and that's what we've been leaning on all season. So I have nothing else to say but defense. I want that ugly game where. We've watched it multiple times where the other team looks like they're never going to score. That's what it like. And you know what? Once that happens, the crowd will go crazy and it'll get quiet and then they will leave.
Yeah. What Sansi says is pretty much like there is this possibility here, right? Once, like you said, once Arsenal score, let's be honest, if Real Madrid's head still right, they can't just sit there and go, do you know what, game over. We're just going to sit there because their fans will demand they go for it. Do you know what I mean? They will demand even at 4 or 5, if they were 4-0 down or 5-0 down, that they go for it. There is the other side of it, isn't there? That literally it could end up being a ridiculous score, and we could end up going there and winning by a few goals because they won't sit back. Even if we score for a first or a second goal, their fans will demand that they push forward. So we could see a madness. We could see an absolute madness. I know everyone's obviously there's the worry, isn't there? Like, oh, do you know what I mean? It's Real Madrid. I think if it was any other team apart from Real Madrid or Barcelona, I don't think there'd be any fear whatsoever. We'd be quite confident of going out there. And I'm just going to go to Ryan.
Yeah.
Kivior, he's obviously had two good games now. Any worries about him on Wednesday night with the occasion being in the Bernabeu? Or are you confident with the two performances he's had that he should be able to deliver another commanding and composed performance?
I don't like that I think he actually put some words out there in the media. I don't know if that was him or not, but I did see, I think there was there was some quotes coming from him being confident and stuff like that. I don't like that because he's been quiet the whole time, and I think he's gonna have blips like he's had in the last two of the last 3 games he's played. He's had blips, so and he's going to have Saliba next to him, right? Saliba will be up for this game, right? If he could see out Real Madrid, whether he's going there or not, I think he'll want to do that because it makes it even, they're going to want him even more if he shuts them out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if Saliba has one of those days where it doesn't matter what Kiwior does, every mistake gets cleaned up by our second or our first best center back. So, and we've seen him do that, right? Everything that comes through there, he's going to put pressure on them. So I feel like, Kiwior's I think he's good right next to the guys he's next to, right? So I think that's going to be good. So yeah, we'll see. But it's Arteta's going to put those blinders on these guys because if they let the Bernabeu in, if they let the shenanigans from the attackers when they fall to the ground every time you sniff, you get near them, all that kind of stuff is going to happen. We know this, right? So he should be experienced to just let it go and then just do his job, and we'll be fine. And Rayo will be the last line of defense. So I mean, we've got somebody in front of him, somebody behind him, and then another person behind that guy. So I kind of feel like, you know what? Defense. That's all I got. Like I said, I'll take an ugly game, but if they make too many mistakes, like as you said, it'd be nice to be on the other end of a 5-6 goal difference in an aggregate score, right? So we've been on the other side of that, right? Why not give it to the one team nobody thought?
Yeah, definitely. Just gonna go over to you, George. I know one guy who's going to go there and be fearless on Wednesday night, and that's Lewis Skelly. We're talking an 18-year-old kid who's literally taken the league by storm this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In terms of what he's done, I don't think no one expected, probably not even himself, that he'd be in the situation he's in at the moment, club and country. He's about to play the biggest game of his life on Wednesday, but he's so fearless that actually, I think he'll impose himself to be a key player again on Wednesday night, won't he?
Totally. Yeah, totally. I just love the way he plays. He's passing. His attacking play is very good. Defensively, he's very good, and he'll definitely give it his all. 100% he'll give it his all. I have no doubt about that. In Lewis Skelly, been very impressed with what I've seen from him this season, and I feel that he's going to be playing the game of his life Wednesday night, and I'm sure he's gonna make us proud when he plays Wednesday night.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would like to be in a situation that we get probably. Obviously, we all want to be in a situation that obviously by the 60 or 70 minute, like game's over, and like with 4 or 5 goals up, then it'd be nice to get someone like Waneri on, wouldn't it? Give him some kind of experience out there. Do you know what I mean? As such, because I think. He's another player to go out there and be fearless. Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't let the occasion get to him whatsoever. So, if we do get to the other side of it, I think it will give certain players some good experience. But it also gives the team confidence. Do you know what I mean? Like I know, like a Saturday was Saturday. We all knew what we was going to kind of expect, didn't we, Ryan? In terms of the performance as such, we knew there was going to be rotation. We knew it weren't going to be easy because it never is against Brentford at home, but. Get this team back together again. They destroyed Real Madrid last Tuesday. They absolutely destroyed them. That must give them a lot of confidence going into the remainder of the season, especially if we get through the Bernabeu and they come out the other side of the Bernabeu. I don't see why we should fear Paris Saint-Germain or Aston Villa personally. We've beaten both teams this season already. I don't totally agree with the Paris Saint-Germain kind of fest at the moment. Yeah, they're a very, very good team. Do you know what I mean? But even though they played really well at Anfield, I think Liverpool could have easily finished out the other side of it if they took chances. Do you know what I mean? As such, I think Aston Villa's inexperienced. I think it cost them in Paris. And if they hadn't scored that third goal, Paris Saint-Germain, I think it would have been a really tough night for them at Villa Park. And I still think it will be a tough night for them at Villa Park because you got like 40,000 Brummies and they're going to be obviously trying to blow that ball in the net themselves. So I do think the third goal is going to become crucial in that tie. But I don't see personally, Ryan, why we should fear Paris Saint-Germain. I think we've got all the tools in our team, and we've proven it already at the start of the season that we can kind of nullify them and kind of
we're
shut
proving
them
now
out.
in terms of the situation we find ourselves in with our squad. No matter what people say about Madrid in terms of how they're being domestically, this, that, and the other, they're the European champions, defending European champions. So 15 times, this is their competition. And they went out last week, our lads, with a game plan and stuck to it, and they reaped the rewards in the second half with the 3 goals. Obviously, they see the job out come in 48 hours' time, come Wednesday night. Literally this time in 48 hours, we see the job. These lads see the job out. Yeah, the confidence will be high. This would be not over cockiness or overconfident, but no fear of be it Villa or we'll find out obviously to find it tomorrow, either Villa or PSG. Yeah, it's two-legged affair. Anything can happen. But Villa, we know we play them every season. We've played them this season, match day 2. And was it 2-0 we won? And obviously, they got their fun on the in January against us with Watkins. But I think we're over 2 legs on the European title. The confidence would get from knocking out Real Madrid. There wouldn't be a fear of. And I know, you know, I mean, that would be a big talking point, a big story that the media will put out there. But I wouldn't fear them as tight as it might be. PSG, like we said, I think we said the away leg for us is the first leg, and we're at home the second leg, or something like that. That could play. That could play into our hands. Obviously, as long as we come out from the first leg with something, because our home record since we've come back into the Champions League for the last 2 seasons, we've only conceded 4 goals at home. 2 of them are against Bayern Munich last season, the 2-2 draw, and then obviously the other 2 were this season against PSV when the time was done. Other than that, we are at home defensively resolute. It's just getting something out of that away leg, assuming obviously we go to semi-finals. Come back to the Emirates with something. We come back with 1-0 down or 1-1 or 2-2 or whatever. I have full confidence in the home leg that we'll see the job out and we'll be celebrating a trip to Germany come May, hopefully. Especially, I don't know if we ever mentioned it so far, but obviously on Friday's press conference, Arteta saying that we could see Havertz again before the end of the season, which would be interesting. Considering with that,
be nice to have Havertz back.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be
where that final could be.
Yeah, exactly. Home. Just gonna go to you, Gary, on that in terms of kind of if we knock out Real Madrid, you confident then we can get to the final? Like 2 games away, 180 minutes. PSG, Aston Villa. Do you fear them, or do you think that what we've got, we should be able to negotiate our way into that final?
We should be able to. But you know, we've been given challenges every step of the way this season. That's been our problem. Not our problem. That's been our situation. Every time we think we got something sorted out, they throw a monkey wrench in it. Right? I mean, we look fine. Next thing you know, Gabriel's out. All right. we should be going into this one without any issues. Both Partey and Jorginho, come out the game with injury concerns, right? So we just been. That's the only thing that's going to hurt us is if we really don't have the numbers Like as long as we have the numbers, we'll be fine. If Ben White, I don't know if Ben White's practicing, but I think Calafiori is practicing now, if I recall. But if Ben White is that knock or whatever is allows him to practice, that'd be nice. Because we want to make sure we have. I'd rather have more than not less, right? So that's the only thing that's going to hurt us, I think, is if we have to, make a makeshift back line once again. We've been doing that a lot this season, and we've had answers, but you kind of run out at some point of options. So hopefully that's not the case. I think every time Saka plays, he's just going to get even healthier and healthier, right? So that'd be nice to have, especially in games where we're going to want to hold on to the ball. He's going to be the one to do that a lot for us. So yeah, I don't think anybody should concern us because, as I said, defense travels, and we're only getting, if Saka keeps getting healthier, I think that's a plus. So yeah, that's my thinking there on that one.
Yeah, because obviously you said we've got Saka coming back. We are managing him in terms of kind of minutes, which is the right thing to do, and I'm enjoying seeing that. Get to a semi-final. It's like another 2-3 weeks away, or 2 weeks. Saka gets more minutes. We'll get him back to where we need to get to. I just look at us as a team, and I just think that that first leg at home does suit us much better. You'd like to think that the Newcastle game will have some kind of reminder as such in the Carabao Cup with the 2 legs, that we can't afford to put that kind of performance in again in a semi-final. And we can't afford to lose that home game. But I just think that we'll go into semi-final very good. We are a very controlled team now, haven't we? But we've got a lot of weapons. And I just think at the moment as well, with the Emirates and the atmosphere, and going into a semi-final, it'd be exactly like the Real Madrid. I just think that we'd all be on the same wavelength. Do you know what I mean? On the same page as such. I just feel confident now about this team going out in terms of delivering a performance. And my personal opinion is I don't see why we could, if we beat Real Madrid and then we go out to PSG or Aston Villa in the semi-final, I think it'd be one that we'll beat ourselves up for a long, long time. To go and comprehensively beat Real Madrid 3-0 and then get through after playing them at the Bernabeu, where we know they're throwing absolute everything at the moment to try and give themselves some additional head start in that game to kind of pull it back round. I just think that if we went out to them, there's no disrespect for Aston Villa or PSG because they're 2 good teams. I just think it'll be one that will be regretted. And I just look at Saka and Martinelli, especially Saka. He's just fearless now, isn't he? This is the thing I was going to say, George. Going into this game, this is such a different Saka, even 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, he really, he brings such an energy to the team, such a passion, and when Saka is playing, the team overall, you can see the cohesion, how better we're playing. Going forward, attacking play, and defensive minded as well. And having him back, I'm so glad that he's back. Because I think that was the thing that cost us in the league, missing Saka as well. Not that we want to be heavily reliant on one player, but it does really make a positive impact. I feel, to the team. And I think honestly, I don't want to jump the gun too much. If we get through Wednesday night, I honestly think we'll get to the final. I honestly do. If we beat Real Madrid, don't get me wrong, like you say, Villa and PSG are 2 good teams, but if we can beat Real Madrid, we can beat anybody. I'm sure of it, and I'm sure we'll get there. And having Saka in the team as well, it's all good.
I think it's the title, isn't it? Like Real Madrid, best club side in the world, 15 times European champion. Do you know what I mean? The team then should fear no one. And the team should have the confidence to go out there, whether it's home or away, and be able to do the job what they can do. Because if they go to the Bernabeu and shut up shop and have a really good game, and that would breed a lot of confidence going into the second leg against PSG or Villa in the semi-final as well, as long as we've got ourselves a good start. So I look at this whole Real Madrid thing, and I think if we go in there and execute a performance on Wednesday night and get through to semi-finals, and it is a positive performance on Wednesday, I don't see why we should fear anyone. Like Barcelona is always going to be a hard final.
Yeah.
It's a one-off game. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that could go either way. But we would have done such the hard work beating Real Madrid. And I'll go back to 2005, 2006.
Oh, yeah.
That carried us through to the final,
definitely.
beating Real Madrid in that one. Because Juventus, if you look at it, perfect home performance that after 2-0. We went to Juventus and drew 0-0. They were a fucking good side at that time.
They were top of the league, weren't they? Top of, well, even though they, got done for wrongdoing and stuff, they were top of the Serie A, weren't they? When we drew them out there, and and I mean Villarreal, wasn't it? The semi-final. They were kind of like a bit of just an average Spanish side, but still, we've done well to beat them and then get to the final, and that Sol Campbell goal, it was so close to winning it then, weren't we? So. Yeah, honestly, hope this year will be our year. But, I don't want to get too far ahead. Let's get through the test Wednesday. But like I say, if we get through Wednesday night, I'm confident we'll get to the final. And it'd be nice going to Munich. And I went Munich away last year. It was a great away day. I can't do any more away trips because, I've got a lot of things going on. Got a baby on the way and stuff like that. So for a long while, I'm not going to be doing a few away trips. But I'd just like to see us get there and, to win the Champions League there. It'll make my year. Make our year,
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a brilliant occasion if we can get there. Yeah.
So I was going to say, let's not forget, obviously, in terms of Jurgen Klopp, his first trophy with Liverpool was the Champions League that got him going. So it could be the same for us, hopefully, obviously. But a lot of people obviously are looking ahead in terms of all these other YouTube channels and the story of Arsenal-Barca final, the redemption. And I'm thinking, I want the revenge, but it's like, don't want the stress as well. There's one game at a time. Get us to that final, but I don't. Let's just get to the final. Whoever we've got to play, but just get us up.
Yeah, because we shouldn't be dismissing a very good Inter team, should we?
They beat Bayern the other night, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it'll be. Inter. I think from that side of the draw, I think Inter will knock out Barca in the semis. I think it'll be Inter versus us or PSG.
I think every team that's still left, I think there's something about all of them against Arsenal. Bayern Munich is all about their mentality and what happened last year. Barcelona, of course, what has happened in the past. Inter has been playing proper football all year. I mean, and then we got the PSG, our Aston Villa kind of concerns there, right? PSG, can we beat them twice? And then Aston Villa, can we finally get a win in a knockout round against Emery, right? I mean, we just got all these challenges, but like I said, I think we got the answers on one side of the pitch that we can lean on. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely, like you said, there's definitely capacity in terms of all them teams, like we just mentioned, that why they can get to the kind of final. And do you know what I would say as well with the Champions League this year? There's been some really good quality. Like you look at the goals in our game, you look at the goals in the Paris Saint-Germain game on Wednesday night in Paris. Like some absolute incredible performances in terms of individual performances as well. So it is definitely where the levels raise, isn't it? And this is where I'll come on to, and it's probably the last part of the show, is obviously we know what Talk Sport's all about clicks and all that. But because Arsenal are doing really well in the Champions League now, there was this part, wasn't there, with Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. And to be fair to Danny Murphy, he spoke quite well about our performances there. But Simon Jordan was pretty much like the Premier League's the bread and butter, which it is the bread and butter. But if I said to you, Gary, at the start of this season, right, you're going to win the Champions League or the Premier League. For me, as a fan, and as we've never won the Champions League, that's going to be more special. And I would go for the Champions League. Also, for me, it's always been the ultimate prize of Champions League. So we get into this kind of conversation again because it's Arsenal. It's not cool. Because it's Arsenal. Oh, they should be going for the Premier League, not the Champions League.
You know why? Because they don't want. They know if we
Why?
get that one, we're going to be unbearing, right? They're not going to like. That's going to be the last. Like everybody says, London will be shut down. Any talk about football, we had a Champions League. We got a star on our shirt. They won't be able to talk to us pretty much ever again. I mean, think about it. That will last for a while before anybody can say anything to us, right? And then
I'll be smoking cigars daily.
They don't want that. I mean, they hate us as it is. This is why, because they know what happened. Just because we've had to live with all of this, right? I haven't been following as long as you guys, but Champions League has been the thing that we really can't say anything about. We have no answers for it, right?
It's so special to win that, weren't it? I think the Champions League's one thing we're not won, and I think we need that, really. We do need it, definitely.
Yeah.
Ryan, where does that put us as a club if we got to the final hurdle, overcome it, won the Champions League? Because we'd be the best team in Europe. We'd be seen as the best team in Europe, but also in terms of being able to attract the caliber of players yet again, isn't it? Like we've been talking about this, that the big players now want to come to Arsenal. The big players will look at the Real Madrid performance and think, oh, I want to be part of that. They look at the atmosphere and hear the atmosphere at the Emirates and think, it ain't like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? We're probably
You said big players. I was going to say big players like Kiwior and Moreno. Is that what you mean? My big players? Is that what you mean when you say big players? Because those are names that people, those are names that are getting us to where we are today, right?
Yeah, definitely. But it's such a good place. It would be such a good place to be in because, we've overcome something that it's been a stickler for us, like you said. Like we've had people can throw shit at us all day long. Look, we go to Nottingham Forest, Champions of Europe. You'll never see me. Do you know what I mean? Like that would put that to bed. It also
shuts Denver down the road up as well, down the road from me in terms of the blue side of London. To the blue side anyway, but no, in terms of I mean, what it would do is basically, as you say, shuts up the Chelsea lot for a bit, puts them in their place. All the other fans or other clubs that have won Champions Leagues in their history that, as they sing that song, can't do it to us, and also we can jump on that bandwagon ourselves. But also, from a transfer point of view, it's proved to players. It shows players that we're not all talk, we are all action. And look what we've just got here, and this is just the beginning. And again, it's the hoodoo off the back of historically. Then we would have won everything we possibly can, barring the Club World Cup and the Super Cup, in which we'll have a chance to do in August. Barring them two trophies, then we'd want literally everything you can in our club's history.
Yeah.
Different branding. Some trophies have had different brandings over the years, but still, we've got them. This has been the holy. This is the holy grail, and no matter what happens in the future, we've got that. As we've won. We are the European. We would be European champions. Even if it happens again in our lifetime, we've got that claim to our thing, and we can be proud of that. Like we've seen in other clubs and all that. And you'll see generations will come and go, like we've seen at Forest and the Villas and all that, and they'll still celebrate years and years, well after our time's past and gone, and would have that when we'll be lucky enough to have witnessed it, hopefully. And it rattles the rivals, especially in today's of social media. It rattles the rivals, which is the best bit about it. Is like the last 6 days have been brilliant. We've broken Madrid. They closed on the roof apparently. They didn't realise that Rice Cook's better when the lid's closed and all that. Kylian Mbappe's getting straight red cards. They're doing all this motivational PR stuff that we get accused of doing, in terms of the ultras are going to do something for Real Madrid as they arrive on Wednesday night. There's a motivational video going to be played in the dressing room for the players to get them motivated. There's a team talk after the game. All this, and again, it's just this rattle death scene. I'm absolutely loving it, and that's just the Madrid side of it. And you look at Chelsea, you've seen Chelsea fans literally kicking off just because they all expected us to be turned over, the other way around, of us being turned over on Tuesday night, and obviously in this second leg. I went on another channel on the day before, last Monday, And I said over the 2 legs, we've got it's 60-40 Madrid's favour. They obviously over the 2 legs, they'd go through. It's in their favour. And I got laughed at for giving us 40% chance. I'm like, well, we're at home first. The home legs will be key for us. And I've been proven right so far. Touch wood and all that. But yeah, Champions League will be the ultimate. There'll be no more BS, I would say, to come our way. There's no, that discussion ends with the you don't win a European Cup, you can't be a big cup about the European Cup. Well, we've got the European Cup now. We got to say, what goalpost are you going to move this time to suit your narrative? Because whatever you do, we have the European Cup.
Yeah, it's really intriguing, isn't it? Because like, if we won the Champions League, we're actually going into a summer where we already kind of know that we're going to spend big money to improve this squad. Like, it would be such a good time to do it, because actually, in years gone by, if we'd gone and won the Champions League, we'd have probably rested on our laurels and stuck with a team because it had been pretty much complete there. But actually, as it goes, the squad is probably still another 30% or 25-30% away from being where it needs to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're already talking about upgrading left wing. We're already talking about the upgrading the forward. We've already spoken tonight about having a rotational of another centre back. We know we need another goalkeeper because Neto will go away. We know we're going to lose Tierney, Sinchenko, and Jorginho in the summer. And actually, if we was able to go this step and win the Champions League this year, with doing the business that we're going to do in the summer and being able to attract the players that we're going to attract, because I don't care what anyone says, once you're European champions, right, and players know that you're still strengthening your team and you want to be better, they're going to want to be part of it. Do you know what I mean? The very best players are going to want to be part of a club that are going somewhere, and it'll be a big statement. And you've got the new sporting director coming, who's a big name. Do you know what I mean? He's come from Atletico Madrid. Mate, he must be wowed already. Do you know what I mean? Atletico Madrid can't beat Real Madrid for love or money in the Champions League. He comes in, then within a week, we're 3-0 up. What a situation for him to be in at the moment, by the way. What a situation to be him to be. Because actually, he'll be talking to all these agents and all these players, and he'll probably be able to go out and like the very best players that do come available this summer. Yeah. He could be in the mix with that.
In terms of our actual current squad, in terms of our sleep, in terms of winning Champions, go back to the conversation about Champions League. If we were to win it, it would put an end, for the time being at least, this discussion of Saliba wants to go to Real, Saka, this, that, and the other. If anything, they'll be more convinced to sign on the new contracts.
Yeah, retain our good players, like you say.
Because even then, again, like you say about other players wanting to come in and jump on the bandwagon of being part of what we're trying to build, the players that are currently here that we consider the best of the best that we've got, they'll want to commit. They'll want to commit even longer. Look at Liverpool. I mean, was it 2019 they won the Champions League, and they're still, most of their players are still here. So Van Dijk, Salah signed a new 2-year contract recently as well in the last few days. It is a factor, because the mentality is there, the taste, the hunger then kicks in then.
Yeah. We are in a bit of a unique situation, in my opinion, in terms of the Champions League and where we are. And I think we can get over Wednesday. I think we've got a good chance. I really, really do. Like, I think we've got players coming back in now. Do you know what I mean? That would strengthen the squad. Hopefully, we can get Ben White back fit. Do you know what I mean? That's a frustration, I think, at the moment. We can get him back fit. Because I think, like, do you know what? If Ben White was fit, I reckon there might have even been scope on Wednesday night that potentially we might have given Skelly a little bit of a rest and played Timber left back and Ben White right back on Wednesday. Because I think they're defensive players, do you know what I mean? So, like, they got experience of going to all these kind of stadiums and all that. And I think, don't get me wrong, I as I said earlier on, Skelly would be fearless and all that, but I think there could have been potential if Ben White was fit that maybe Skelly might have started on the bench Wednesday night. But yeah, the squad's definitely there. And what I would say is, I think Thomas Partey's been absolutely key in terms of the big performances this year. Like, he's definitely been our best consistent centre midfielder for the season for me. I think when we've had to take him out, that's not because it's not his fault he's getting put at right back. and he's doing a job for the team. Do you know what I mean? As such, and it's not ideal whatsoever. But I just think that when it's come to the big games, he's turned up every single time. And if we can get him fit on Wednesday, for me, he's the key player Wednesday night. He's the key player. If he controls that centre midfield like he did last week, I ain't got no worries at all. Because do you know what? We know if Partey and Rice have good games on Wednesday night, Arsenal win the game comfortably. Arsenal, if Partey and Rice do turn up again and play that, and I don't see why they can't. If Partey and Rice play well Wednesday night, we're winning.
Definitely, I agree. I'm totally 100% there. You know, there are two intricate players in the first leg, and I certainly think that they will be in the second leg if the tie as well.
So yeah, fingers crossed on Partey. Like, I think, as I said, like if he isn't fit, then I think Moreno does come back into centre mid, which that doesn't concern me so much whatsoever. But I think we need Moreno up top on especially to start that game. Do you know what I mean? I think we definitely need him to start that game. Yeah. All right, final part. Just going to do some score predictions for Wednesday night. Going to go to you first, Ryan.
Oh, we lost.
What you got,
George? No, he's like,
he don't want to give us one. Sitting on the fence,
yeah, Wednesday. We're talking about Wednesday. Okay. 2-0 Arsenal.
Oh, you're going for a clean sheet.
I think us being 3 goals up plays into our hands in because they've got from the get go. They've got to come out in the first 20 minutes and get something. Otherwise, their crowd's going to get on their back basically. And that playing to our hands, and we can play it smart. We don't have to overcommit. We can counter attack.
Funny enough, he's just messaged me.
Yeah.
He's cut out, so I said like, there's no point coming back in. But he's gone for 2-0 as well. So yes, 2 of you gone for 2-0. Like clean sheet. That's all we need Wednesday night, isn't it, Gal? That's all we need, mate. Clean sheet.
In our history against Real Madrid, 4 games, 4 clean sheets.
Yeah, it's funny. I was like tempted to say 1-0, but I don't like the stress of the 1-0. So 2-0 is what I was going to actually go with because I want us to be clear. Also, I don't want any more than 2 goals scored in this game. You know what I mean? Because that means it doesn't matter what the scoreline is. As long as there's only 2 goals in this game, we go through. So that's kind of how I laid that one out. So I don't want any stress. So I want 2 goals on our side. Clean sheet would be nice. And, I don't want, So we can do that. They will be pressing, but 2-0 because I don't want a high scoring game at all, not even close. So yeah. 1-0 will be too stressful for me. My heart. 1-0. Well, actually, 1-0 is fine too. But I just but 1-0 early not so good. But 1-0 late, we'll take it, right?
By the way, Gav put this in the chat earlier. By the way,
we don't need that. We don't need an angry.
Yeah.
We don't need an angry.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that. Are you going to be on the watch along, or do you? I don't even know if you can do mid.
Oh, we are planning to. Yeah,
I think Smuggo in place as well. He's
I need to go out and get one just in case. Definitely. I'm going to go for 3-1. I think we will concede there at some point. Just because of the talent they got on their bench. The only reason I'm going to go that is because I just think that the game's going to open up, and when the game opens up, I just think that players like Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, if he comes on, I just think that we'll be able to exploit them. Do you know what I mean? But I do think that we need to. The first 15, 20 minutes is going to be fighter, won't they? But I just don't want us to just defend as such, because I think you can't play like that against Real Madrid, because they'll just kind of
find a way. Yeah,
they'll suffocate you. And we don't need to let them suffocate us, because we've already outplayed them. Do you know what I mean? So there's no reason why our players should be not confident going into that game and wanting to reproduce that kind of performance. What did make me laugh today is now apparently they're throwing bonuses at Real Madrid players as well.
Which is PRFC, isn't it?
So apparently it's come out. Yeah, it's come out today that if they do win on Wednesday, they'll all get a bonus. Now, they're in a, as you said, it's an absolute shambles, isn't it, in terms of the way this has kind of materialised for Real Madrid, but the way they're going on about this game in terms of like trying to basically butter up the players, like to put in a performance, and for me that don't sit right. Why should they be offered bonuses after they lost 3-0 at home? You know what I mean? Like, they surely, as professional players, and we're talking about the highest quality players in football, why should they be kind of bribed with bonuses to produce a performance?
So much for heritage, right? Usually you could just lean on their heritage, supposedly, and that gets them through every scenario, right? Supposedly they come back from 3 goals down. Heritage, right? Now all of a sudden they're down 3. I think we need incentive for these guys now. What? All of a sudden you need incentive. What is that? Yeah. So I think that's gonna weigh down on the players, and I don't think they do well in that situation as a squad this year. Right. I don't think they're that team, right? I mean, they're still they're not right now, what are they? They're behind, they're in second in the league, right? Right now.
Yeah, I double checked that because Atletico played tonight. Atletico played tonight, and I think they were winning at one point. I double checked now where they've dropped into third, but they've basically given up on the top. Barcelona battered them home and away this season in the Liga side. Well, I went blank there, but
I think Mbappe getting sent off at the weekend just shows you where they are, don't they?
Yeah, like, I don't care what anyone says. He did that deliberately, so he has to, because obviously players got rested, but he wasn't rested. And I think he was like, no excuse. Have you seen the challenge, Liam? He's lucky he doesn't break the kid's leg.
Yeah, it's definitely right below the knee on the calf. So coming across the calf and the shin. So yeah. So you know what? They're gonna be playing like that, and Sorry.
So the current table is Barcelona top of 70 points, Madrid on 66 points, and Atletico behind them by 3 points after tonight's game, where Atletico won 4-2.
Yeah. I know some of the Arsenal fans are over there tonight.
I've seen a few fly out this morning. Yeah, fair play to them.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Both stadiums, isn't it?
Gav put this comment in the streamer in the chat earlier. I've lost all hope, faith in Madrid. So let's just get this Arsenal top nightmare over the. Well, this is the thing. During the watch along last week, Dean, obviously you was at the game. My brother was in the chat, and he said, "Who does Gav support?" I went Chelsea. So he came back and said, "Why not put him in a Tottenham shirt instead?" So then I've had the discussion with Gav, and I thought, I'll have a discussion to do it now. Why don't we put it to the people in the chat, give them the option of an Arsenal shirt or Tottenham shirt or both?
I don't know if I get a satisfaction in wearing a special
shirt. So that's the Arsenal one, yeah?
I want to see him in an Arsenal red shirt, mate. I don't think I'll get a satisfaction. Why would I get a satisfaction?
Apparently hates both clubs.
Well, yeah, but I want to see him in the red and white.
Oh, that's cool. Well, there you go, Gav.
I want to see him in the red and white, mate.
It's been democratically discussed live on air. It's been decided. You're wearing the Arsenal.
Absolutely. And do you know what? We should get a shirt for him. Shouldn't we? Put El Smuggo on the back as well.
Yeah.
Just to rub it. Just to rub it in a little bit more. 49.
Oh dear.
I don't know. How many goals will you score?
We could put the score on, couldn't we? We could actually put the aggregate score on there with I love it, or I love Arsenal, or I hate Chelsea.
One thing I would say though, if and I don't want to be thinking about this, but if Wednesday goes badly, we're gonna have to go hiding.
No, he went bold. We're
gonna have to go, and
he went bold.
It's gonna be unbearable, isn't it? It's gonna be absolutely unbearable, and you have to flip the coin and think about the other side as well. Like, we're talking unbearable now, isn't it? Like, we beat them 3-0. Like, we've been on cloud 9 a week. Can you imagine the beatdown if we go out?
The haters have 4 tries at this. They have 4 tries at this. They're like, all right, Arsenal's not going to win the next 4 matches, right? So they've got four chances starting with tomorrow, Wednesday, to get their happiness, right? And all Arsenal can do is just shut him up and make him quiet. So let's hope they do that. Yeah, it's got 4 times, right?
Yeah.
4 times, and we don't actually need to win.
Yeah.
The next 2.
No.
We don't need to win. We only need to win one of the next 2, really and truly, based on how we've been playing. So, but yeah. Now it'd be nice to shut everybody up, but it's gonna. This is the stress each time we play another game. If we play another game, the semis, that first one, no matter if we win 3-0 in that one, it's going to be the same thing in the next one. And we got to win, got to get out of that one. And then the finals, whoever we play, if it's Barcelona, that's everybody would love. All the rivals would love to see that one go their way, right? All the Arsenal fans want to see a redemption, right? So, yeah.
As I'm thinking about, in terms of if we were to get the final, I don't want Barcelona because all that pressure would be put on the players in that one-off game because of what happened obviously the last time we got to the final, being Barcelona. Obviously, we as a fans want the revenge, but there's a lot of, again, for this generation, there's a lot of pressure to put on them. I'd rather just, as I say, I think it'd be Inter in the final, but I'd rather it not be Barcelona. Just
I think Arteta's
it's just obviously we know our fans and we know what social media is like, and we know the players obviously have social media as well. So they'll be as much as Arteta can do one thing, they'll still have one eye and they'll know via either social media or YouTube and all that where our heads at as well. So yeah, let's get through Wednesday first, and then we'll have that discussion next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we are going to wrap up tonight. Obviously, thank you very much, Ryan, for coming on, and a great pleasure to set up for you to come in, Gary. Thank you very much. Always an honor, mate. What I was going to quickly say, what you sounded like when you was talking about the other teams having 4 tries against us. You sound like a Scotland fan when England are doing well.
Well, I know you hear it for their fans. They're like, all right, yeah, they beat Real Madrid, but what would really be fun is if they played Barcelona and got spanked. That's basically what they're looking for, right? Because that would put us icing on the cake for them, right? Barcelona. I mean, that's what they're hoping for. And so far, we've said no, it's not going to happen. So we have to do it again, and then we have 3 more tries to do it again, and just one game at a time, right? This is the next one. Like I said, we just lean on the one thing that we've been leaning on all season. I have trust that the defense will show up, and we have answers if somebody's not having a good day. But so far, so good on that one. We haven't had to deal with that. I don't think have we even pulled a defender off the pitch because they've been having a bad day? I don't really think so, right? I think whatever we've done has been pretty solid, and we haven't really. We may make one mistake, but we don't usually make 2. So,
in the subs we made when it's the defender's been tactical. Nothing like, you've had a bad game off your coming all that. So yeah. Oh dear.
Anyway, I'm going to start. I've got to go.
I'll hit your end, does it? Okay, so I better get my washing in quick.
Yeah. I've just seen it. Right, yeah, and obviously thank you very much for coming on tonight, guys. Thank you everyone in the chat. Obviously, it's been some great content and topics, so thank you very much. Ryan will be back tomorrow with the Arsenal versus Leicester women's watch along. What time will you kick off?
What's the kick off actually? If you bear me 2 seconds, I'll have a look on the Arsenal app. It'll tell me straight away. There we go. Let it load up. I think it's 7 o'clock. I'm just double checking. Women. 7:30 kickoff, so we'll go live 6:45. 45 minutes before kickoff, get the build up and all that.
Brilliant.
That's on. By the way, for anyone in the UK, that's on Sky Sports. By the way. Yeah, and then obviously DAZN on for the Champions League on Saturday.
Brilliant. Yeah. Sorry, we think we probably might. I might try and squeeze in the show on Thursday anyway. So we'll cover off obviously the Champions League game on Thursday. But obviously come and join the watch along tomorrow, and obviously we'll be back Wednesday as well. With Real Madrid versus Arsenal, the big one. It's going to be a big night. Hopefully there'll be some good cigars and Jaegers after.
The bar will be dry. So there you go.
But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Obviously, have a great Tuesday. I'll see you on Wednesday night. Can't wait. Good night, all.